Okay, hello, and welcome to the latest edition of Getting There, eSchool News Conversations with school district tech directors talking about how their districts are responding to the pandemic. My name is Kevin Hogan. I'm editor-at-large for eSchool News. And this morning we have Frank Pileiro with us. He's a tech director in Southern New Jersey. Frank, how are you?
Good. How you doing, Kevin?
Good. I guess maybe if we start off, you could tell us a little bit about your district, the size, and talk a little bit about where you are in this madness.
Sure. So we're a pre-K to 8 district in Southern New Jersey, Atlantic County. We feed to a regional high school. We have about 830 students total. We are, we're 1-to-1 now as a district, obviously. And we are working through that newness because, one of the things that we had to do to pivot was look at going full 1-to-1, not in a normal progression like a district would, but as a full-blown, let's go, let's do it kind of progression. So, we're there with that. And I think looking at and hearing and talking to a lot of different tech directors around the country, we're all dealing with the same types of issues, making sure we support not only the students, the teachers, the admin, but now we're also pivoting into supporting people at home. So that's a big new, I guess the word now is new normal for us, but we're doing our best to help everybody. And, it's great being able to help the parents at home, but the challenge also is everybody's set up so different. It's not like you're just working at school and you know exactly how things are set up.
Right, right.
That's where we kind of are right now.
Okay, yeah. So, back in the spring when I started to have these conversations, no one was really talking about their state assessments anymore. No one was talking about even learning loss. I mean, there were worries about it, but it really seemed like the number one thing was to make a connection with the student. And then by extension, the family, and in a lot of ways, the schools kind of became community centers almost for kind of bringing folks together. Is that the experience that you have?
Yeah. I know when we first, over the summer, our admin team, we kind of called it the bunker. We were in this one big room, all socially distanced, obviously, and trying to come up with a plan. And our one thing that was the most important for us right off the bat was the social emotional well-being of our students and our staff, and to make that a priority. Really see where they are, because you can't learn if you're not in the right frame of mind. Right. You can't work if you're not in the right frame of mind. So we wanted to really make sure that we had not only resources, but when the staff came in, we actually flipped our PD, where we took some of the PD from the school year and we pulled it back and we front loaded it in the beginning of the school year. So we really gave our staff not just time to prepare, but also people that brought people in to talk to them and help them out. Getting ready for this type of teaching, and also preparing themselves social and emotionally for it too, because it's a whole different type of stress.
Right. And so, again, when you found the spring, all we want to do is to make the connections. Now, going into the fall, though, I mean, it seems that the strategies now is like, we have to kind of get entrenched here. Yes. and make this work, right?
Yeah.
So are you fully remote? Or are you hybrid? Tell us what your circumstances are.
So we're a hybrid. We have basically we have 3 cohorts. So we have one cohort that comes on Monday and Tuesday, full day. Then we have on Wednesday, everyone's virtual. Also, we have an all virtual cohort. We did give the parents the option for their kids to just be all virtual. And then Thursday, Friday, we have the 3rd cohort, which they come into school. So there's that juggling, that balancing act with the staff, like a lot of schools are doing. Okay, we know the kids are coming in Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, but we also have these kids that aren't coming in at all. So that's been a big balancing act for them. And it's something that teachers are very creative, and they've come up with some very creative ways of working around it, and trying to make those connections, like you said, not just, we're on flat planes. We're not really in a 3-dimensional world too much anymore. So giving them project-based things where they have those 3-dimensional things they can grab onto and work on at home when they're not here, and both carry over when they're here, or if they're all virtual. So it is a balancing act for sure.
Yeah. So two of the new phrases from 2020 include the idea of synchronous versus asynchronous learning, right? And it seemed like that first 2 or 3 weeks it was all asynchronous, and then it became it was asynchronous first, right? You hear do the worksheets, emails the worksheets, and then it became synchronous to the point where kids were on the Zoom from 7 to 4. And now it kind of seems to be back and forth a little bit. Do you have experiments with that? And do you have like a ratio of the amount of screen time that your kids are using?
Yeah. So when we first went out in March, we knew we needed time to prepare, because it was just like flip the switch. So we did the packet thing. We sent home work to do, gave us time. And then basically we had the teachers, working on things where we did not require like being online all day. We said, look, you've got to design this so the kids aren't standing in front of the computer all day or sitting in front of the computer all day, and have check-ins, flip your lessons if you can, do the best you can. We even told the parents and the kids, look, when we handed them their computers, we don't want you on this all day. The expectation is not. We gave them some guidelines, try to have X number of hours per day for all your classes, and we let the teachers work together in their grade level teams to try to work through that. Fortunately, we're a smaller district, so it's a little easier. Giant districts, I'm sure they have a whole different model, but that's the way, we try to do the best we could. And still now, taking that a step further, now you've got your feet wet into this. We have to look at it as that blended learning model, and with the mindset of, we're going to be teaching like this no matter when this is over from now on. You have to be able to do this, because the kids are going to learn this way in the future too, and they're going to work this way. So why not be ready? Because who knows if the next thing comes down the line, we shouldn't have the excuse of when we're not ready.
Right.
So be ready.
And look, I mean, we go back a while and have had long conversations about these things conceptually, right? Like, the one-to-one, bring your own device, digital equity, all these conceptual things have just come into such stark relief right now. From the sound of it, you don't think we are going to go back to a normal? This is going to be something that is entrenched, and kids are going to have their laptops at home. And
I think we're going to go to some state of normalcy, but yet we still have to practice in our teaching practice this blended type learning. Still have some element in it so you stay up to date. Your skills are there, the kids' skills are there, because that's the other thing, is like you start to see skills gaps in both the staff and the students that you didn't think were there. That were just working, and you find out, okay, well, they were able to help them when they're in school, but oh gosh, when they're not at school, they don't have the skill, or they don't remember it, or the parent doesn't have it. And so those skills are things that you just need to continually stay fresh on. And there's nothing wrong with, in your class, say, instead of opening to page whatever in your textbook, open your computer and go to Google Classroom or go to this website, and we're going to review this content, just to keep it fresh and keep it moving. Even if you go back to the normal of whatever that's going to be.
Right. I mean, as a parent, I found that I just had the back to school night last week that was all virtual, and it was great. It was so much better than driving to the car, sitting in a tiny desk in the back of the classroom, waiting for it to be over, and handing a bunch of worksheets that I would never look at. I'm calling myself out, I guess, as the bad student, but I got a lot more information through the Zoom, and also interactions with the teachers, right? I think both in the state of everyone is being empathetic to each other and being flexible, but also it's a lot easier to talk to somebody. It's not a professional relationship. The parent-teacher is a kind of a weird dynamic. It kind of takes some of the pressure off a little bit. Did you have a virtual back-to-school night? Did you have?
We did.
Yeah.
So our elementary school, our principal there and the teachers are amazing. They actually went that whole emoji route where they created a classroom with different doors for each grade level.
Cool.
And basically they sent it out to the parents, like, okay, click on such and such teacher's door, and it'll let you into the Google Meet. So it made it a little bit more realistic, I guess you could say. And
Yeah.
it went up. I mean, there was complications because setting that all up and getting that working and all the nuts and bolts of it. But it's just trying to make it as normal. But we had good response from the parents. It went pretty well. So yeah, I think that trying to, I guess that's sort of the thing, trying to make it as most like you're here, but not.
Right.
And make it so you're accessible. And the one word you said that I keep resounding and keep pushing is that word empathy too. Is and you see this all over. I mean, everything's a little tilted right now in society, but that empathy piece is big, because I know parents, and I'm a parent too, we want the best education for our kids. We want them to get the grade level content that they deserve. And we also have to remember and pull back and empathize with the teachers, because, well, they've got kids at home too. Some of them might have kids that are all virtual. Maybe they have to go, now they have to quarantine because they got exposed. So now they're worried about their class, their kid at home, teaching their class. So we all have to have some empathy for each other, knowing we're all in this together. I know people want what they want for their kid, and that's your kid, that's okay. But I think if we just remember that, it's really important that we're all in it together, and we have to empathize for all our different situations.
Yeah. Well, now it looks to me like you're in the office. Are the teachers in the building teaching? Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
That kind of generally seems to have made an improvement in the quality of the dynamic between students. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So we have them here. Obviously, we go through the screening. Everyone's good screened. We have, depending on the classroom, obviously for regular ed classrooms, what we've done is we've rotated the teachers in and out of the classrooms opposed to the students. We did the social distancing with the masks. We didn't really set up, the plexiglass barriers per se. We're giving the kids mask breaks. I look out my window that's here to my right and, see the teachers, kids are just going out for a walk. They get that break, kind of get that mask off. For some of the special ed class, special needs kids, we've looked at the shields. We've had the teachers in there with the aids. Obviously, it's a different thing, trying to keep it on. Face shields are big. Some of the things I didn't think of, a speech teacher says, well, they have to see my mouth.
Right.
You're right. So,
Right.
do we get clear masks? Do we go with the face shield? So having them in here makes a huge difference, but there's little nuances that you have to keep in mind. You've got to see my lips if I'm trying to show you how to pronounce something, or if there's a hearing issue or something like that. So so having the teachers in and the kids in, it does. And the theme throughout with the teachers, like, I just want to get back. I miss my kids. I miss the kids. They really, honestly, truly miss having a whole classroom full of kids in front of them.
Yeah. Well, and one of the reasons I wanted to get in touch with you specifically, because we've talked in the past about your work in the maker space,
Mm-hmm.
and the 3D printing and doing some really cool shop class stuff. How has that been affected? I assume it has. And how are you dealing with that?
So fortunately, we have a great teacher in there, and she's a great example. It's a she. You don't see too many women in STEM, so that's another plus. Great young teacher, brought some really great ideas. She was new last year, did a great job, doing a lot with the maker space, some real innovative stuff. And now that we've pivoted into this blended environment, she's come to me. Fortunately, we speak the same language, being a former shop teacher myself. And we've worked through things, looking at programs that they can use at home on their Chromebook and both here to do their designing. So for the most part, you flip it. Okay, I'm going to show you how to use this. We're going to bring these designs back. We'll do some of that 3D printing when we get back. We have our CNC mill. So she's adapting that. Some of the programs she uses, thank goodness, like one of her programs that she uses, she does car design. Well, that's all done. The aerodynamic piece of it is all done through an online program. So she's able to actually continue with that. So, she's been very good about being creative in it. And it's been affected a little bit because she's got a shop. So a lot of the teachers are like on a cart now because we don't want to move the kids too much. So we still have to move the kids down there.
Okay.
And,
Yeah. Yeah.
and she's a lot of questions. I have to clean my tools. I've got to, how do I clean my little bits, electronic sets? So we look them up together. Yeah, you can wipe them down. You don't have to worry about that.
Turns out you can. Yeah.
Yeah, it turns out you can. So we, thank goodness Little Bits put that stuff on their website, that info on there. So she's been doing really great. She's been still doing her designing and that whole design process. And again, with the empathy piece in there, they were designing an app for, they got accepted to New Jersey's, it's called the Steam Tank competition, sort of like Shark Tank.
Yeah.
And her team got brought into that. They got accepted, and they were designing an app using sensors and different things about how to teach kids to do CPR. And they gamified it. So that's something they can still continue working on.
Yeah.
And she's been creative with being able to design lessons that still give you those experiences as best you can. You might be able to make that thing at home if you're not here, if you're all virtual too.
Yeah. Now, is that an elective class, or is that something that is everybody takes?
No, it's everybody takes it. Fortunately, we actually have our computer teacher at our elementary school. She sort of morphed into a STEAM teacher as well, which is great. She's doing great stuff down there. But up at 5th through 8th grade at the middle school, every kid gets it. And that's what's been really great. And for us is that while a lot of districts are getting rid of shop class or converting it to something where the teachers do in the classrooms, our board, our district's really been committed to keeping it and saw value in it because they see how it reaches across the curriculum.
Yeah.
And they can reinforce what the other teachers are doing no matter what subject it is.
Yeah. And that kind of goes into one of my other questions in a big picture that I keep asking everybody, but it's about assessment and about how last spring, again, so many years we talk about teachers worrying about teachers teaching to the test. And I know in Jersey, you had the state tests and then all of a sudden they weren't there. And then all of a sudden there weren't SATs or ACTs. And they're still kind of not back together. But when you look at STEM and you look at what we were just talking about there, that sort of assessment doesn't work in that atmosphere anyway, right? No. So how do you do assessment of that, and how do you think that might affect the way we assess students overall going forward?
Yeah, so I think it brought to light a couple things. I always remember through my teaching career when state assessments were over, the teachers were so much more creative in their lessons because they weren't afraid to miss something that was going to be on the test.
Yeah.
They were making videos on historical, time periods and doing all kinds of cross-curricular things. Well, it was almost like a sigh of relief when they said we're not doing the testing because they're like, oh, well, I know we're virtual, but we can really get into assessing the kids, because my feeling always was, which I know a lot of educators are, who's better to assess their students but the ones that are teaching them? Yes, the state assessment gives us data points, one snapshot in time, does give you some good data.
Sure.
But these teachers are now looking at their assessment, their formative assessment, their summative assessment in different ways. They're looking at it project-based. They're looking at different portfolio-based assessments, looking at the whole body of work instead of that one snapshot or a couple snapshots in time. They're still doing their diagnostic assessments, so it helps inform them. But again, it's informing them to go back and help the kids better, and then design the lessons around that and being able to differentiate their instruction to meet their needs, opposed to going, oh shoot, I have to get to chapter 6 by December 4th, or we're going to be behind before the test comes up. It's a different thing. And it also helps them in a way where, let's say this year they said we're going to do the testing and we're in this mishmash of stuff. Well, I hate to say it, but it says, okay, what could I leave out? What could I bring in and blend it in a little differently? So it gives them it's a little harder.
Yeah.
It gives them a little different dynamic there too. So I'm sure it's still in the back of their mind because we haven't heard anything yet. Are we doing this or not?
Right.
So I don't know if they'll try to do something early.
Yeah.
While everyone's still here, but that's not a good indicator. of it. So I think this, again, it opens up a lot of avenues for the teachers to take advantage of. You know,
Any thoughts about doing micro-credentialing or badging when it comes to specifically to the
yeah.
STEM space?
Yeah. So, you know, I've gone to a lot of workshops. I've seen a lot of great examples of it, and I really think it's a great idea. I was actually getting ready to put together a plan to do some micro-credentialing in a lot of different areas. I noticed, you know, over the course of March through June when we were out, I mean, it's funny. I think I was in front of my computer all day, and I'm happily to do it. And I was giving workshops to teachers, and I was sending out those Friday emails with those videos and different things because I saw those needs. So I'm like, oh, that's a great chance for ed tech, you know, micro credentialing and badging for PD, and also for these other subjects. And I was starting to put something together, but I don't want to hit them with too much at once.
Sure.
They're already overwhelmed. So yeah, I think it's a great thing. I think it's great incentive, not just for the staff, but for the students as well.
Yeah.
You know, give them some incentives. And I saw a great example was, you know, have a little plaque outside the door and go get stickers. They're cheap. And then you go up and, you know, here's the stickers on the outside of the door. So, oh, you got your micro-credential in Google Classroom. Well, I need help in Google Classroom. It also helps alleviate some of the people where maybe I'll be doing a lot of the PD in that. Well, maybe I won't have to have that pressure on me, and I can, you know, help more people instead
right.
of
so delegate those things to other people who have already gone through it, right?
Yeah, and it improves that collegiality aspect too, because teachers might get together, that might not ever collaborate, and they go, oh, well, you do that in your curriculum. Well, gee, maybe we can do this together. So it opens up some avenues too.
Yeah. Any other kind of bright spots? I'm always just desperate to make these conversations glass half full, right? But so, I mean, we've talked about teachers being able to be more creative because the lack of assessment, greater empathy in the community, right? Enlarging the community. Anything else that sticks out to you as something that other districts can kind of aim for and try to take away from this, you know, this disaster?
Yeah, I think it shines a bright spot again on people stepping up to the plate. And I'm not just talking about educators, but everybody. I think all in all, everyone's going to have their frustrations. But all in all, people are just doing their best because this is just, I know people call it the new normal. I think the best name I heard for it was the weirds. We're just in the weirds. It's just a weird time. And you know, what happens next, you're almost to a point like, okay. And you're not to that point where you're saying, okay, where you give up. And I think this is the positive point. Okay, well, we got hit with another thing. How can we make this work? You know, and that's the thing, stepping up. Like we had a discussion on, well, what do we do about substitutes if we don't have substitutes? Or if we have a teacher that has to go out in quarantine and is sick and can't remotely teach their lesson while a substitute's in the room, what do we do? Well, that's what we had to ask our staff to step up, and maybe we can shift you around, and they're doing just that. I think that's the part. People are stepping up to the plate. Kids are helping kids, parents are helping teachers, patting on the back. I mean, everywhere I talk to everybody, people are either mad, frustrated, doing okay, or in tears.
Yeah.
And you just have to keep, everyone's in it together, and I think that's what's really a bright spot is seeing, like, you know, me as an IT leader, you know, my department's small. We're stretched really thin. But I just had a teacher email me that showed me, you know, Microsoft Office 365 was down, and we're a Google district. They're like, see, it's not just Google. They go down sometimes. Microsoft went down, like trying to show us that encouragement. So any little bit like that is just awesome. It really made my day. They put a help desk ticket in. They're like, this isn't a problem. See, it happens to Microsoft too.
Yeah. So the resiliency, right, to get it together. Yeah. I especially see that with my own kids, but just and their friends. Yeah, I mean, they're going to be so much tougher than I think our generation, having gone through this, and their resilience is something that is really a positive too, right? I mean, you probably see that in the district. I mean, the kids didn't seem to skip a beat so much as opposed to the parents and you know. But
the hardest part is missing that online meeting for class because something didn't work, and there's that frustration level, and what do I do? But the teachers work it out.
Yeah, we're working it out. Well, Frank, I really appreciate your time.
My pleasure.
We got a lot of great information and insight that I think the folks who are watching this and who will read the article, in the next couple of weeks, can take away from. So thanks again.
Thank you. Anytime, Kevin.
All right. Thanks everybody for watching, and I hope you get into another episode of Getting There.